Hey everyone, this is Pat Mesiti coming at you live at 5, making sure that we are on, locked, and loaded. Looking forward to a fantastic 15 minutes of, well, I hope I make you laugh a little bit today because we need a few laughs. And one of the things I enjoy about Live at 5 is you just never know who's going to show up. Last night I put up a post and I want to read what I put up last night because I think it's pertinent to our conversation today and what we're talking about. And I wrote this. I said, here is why I don't believe in white privilege. I was born from Italian immigrants. My parents came here with nothing, no dole and no welfare. My dad got a job the first week he landed here. I was bashed for my name, Pasquale, and made fun of. My lunch smelt of garlic. The food you now pay top dollar for was a peasant food that we took to school. We had peppers, salami, tuna, dripping with oil sandwiches. We had vegetables from our own backyard. We gave them to loved ones, strangers, family, and friends. I was called names, bashed by gangs, bashed by Australians, bashed by Lebanese, bashed by everybody. I hated it. I hated the color of my olive skin, but my dad and mum were grateful for this country. I worked in fruit shops, factories, concrete, served in church for $50 a week, but I read more, I studied more, I networked more, I negotiated more, I cried more, I drove more miles, slept on more floors, I traveled more and missed more birthdays of my children, anniversaries and weddings. At times I would leave my family for 30 weeks a year. My two eldest daughters saw me less, but they loved the cause and they still to this day. That's why they are incredible mums, wives, and daughters. I learned to give more. I read more in spite of my dyslexia. I helped the addicted. I fought religious bigotry and small-mindedness. That's why I have privilege, not because of the color of my skin. Hard work, faith in God. I don't believe the white privilege narrative at all. The victim mentality and those of its ilk do. No man ever drowned in his own sweat. This country is good to those that are good to this country. If you're a white privilege advocate, you need a reality check. I write this in love for my country, my children, my family, and my grandchildren. And I stand behind those words. You know, the whole concept of that somehow that I've got privileges that you don't is so foreign. Let me tell you how you get privilege. You work for it. You know, being brought up, as I said, with an Italian family, when the Italian immigrants came here, they thought the streets were made of gold. Well, when they came here, they found that there were very few streets and they certainly weren't made with gold, so they decided to concrete them. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born here. My parents were both uneducated. But let me tell you what I learned, that hard work, diligent work, gratefulness, the attributes of honesty, an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, the attributes of helping other people get ahead in life will always help you be a bigger and better person. And you know what? Yes, it does give you privilege because honor is magnetic. Ungratefulness pushes people away. You see, the victim thinker always thinks that they're hard done by. It's amazing in our culture. It's amazing in our culture how the more you give to people, particularly certain groups, the more they want. They are like the leech. They are never satisfied. You can give money to their arts, to their culture. You can give money to their schools. You can pick up their kids in cars and fancy cars and taxis, and they despise the very thing you provide. You can give them housing, and yet they despise it. Why? That which is too easily attained is too quickly despised. You see, all this white privilege started with 1988 with an essay written by Peggy McIntosh. The fallacy of the white privilege, you know, we'll talk about Italian privilege in a minute, is that somehow you have to think that you got to fight for everybody. Can I tell you something? I don't mind my ethnicity put on a supermarket. You got people now in America because, you know, Mama Jemima's pancakes, it's offensive, terrible. You can't even buy Cocoa Pops now. Are you kidding me? Are we that sensitive, that pathetically weak? Cocoa Pops. Are you serious? What are we going to change our bread? Don't call it white bread. What are you going to do? What? Don't call it white flour. I mean, you people are ridiculous. You know what you need to do? Get a reality check. A reality check and a wake-up call. No one owes you anything. No one owes you a thing. Whatever you want in life, you've got to go out and earn it. I pray to God there comes a day when we cut out things like the dole in this country. And some of the welfare recipients that have learned to milk the system, and the taxpayer, the honest taxpayer, has to basically prop them up. Can you believe that there are generations and generations of people that have lived on the dole? Yes, and I am speaking of people in Indigenous communities. Do you realize that many people, and so, Pat, you're stereotyping. These are facts. The crime rate, the rape rate, the domestic violence rate, the alcohol rate. Oh, it's the white man. No, it's not the white man. You got a choice. Just like I have a choice. And by the way, I'm not white. I'm olive. I'm olive-skinned. So don't talk to me about white privilege and that you're more privileged because of a certain color. Because I can assure you there are people who are a lot darker than I that get a lot more privileges than I ever do. Matter of fact, the government spends twice as much money on them. Now, just so that you know, when I was a kid growing up in Bankstown, most of my fights and arguments were over my ethnicity, and because I would stick up for people who were of Aboriginal Torres Strait Islanders. But let me tell you what I think privilege is. It's a privilege to be born here. It's a privilege to be educated here. It's a privilege to get the freedom to worship, to work, and to voice my opinion peacefully within the freedom that this country affords me. It's a privilege to own my business. It's a privilege to give to the poor. It's a privilege to help those that cannot work. And it's a discouragement to have to fund people that will not work. It's a privilege to raise a family. It's a privilege to act honorably and to teach what is right. It is a privilege to right what is wrong. It is a privilege to be able to ask for forgiveness. Is it a privilege to be able to work for success, for freedom, and for dignity? Demanding is a sure road to ruin. Privilege to own my own home. Privilege to set up a future for myself and my grandchildren. My Italian privilege. I'm privileged to be Italian. After all, I often say to people, there are two kinds of people in the world, Italians and those that want to be. Now, all my Greek friends will certainly have something to say about that. But here's some of the privileges I learned of being Italian. Number one, respect. Respect. Let me give you that word again. Respect. I don't go around saying, oh, all you Australians and Americans, you kind of, paint us, you stereotype us as mafia bosses and criminals and gamblers and killers and garlic munchers and murderers. We don't do that. You know why we don't do that? We didn't have a chip on our shoulder. We didn't have an axe to grind. We came to this country and we're grateful for it. And I can assure you there are many, many ethnic families that are here that when they came to this country, they kissed the ground and were grateful for what they had, because this country gave them a great advantage that their countries could not give them. The ability to work, the ability to build something for their children, the ability for their children to get educated, their ability to not be treated like peasant farmers, but like awesome citizens. And that is something that is afforded to every citizen. I don't care what color you are. You see, oftentimes those that complain the most are merely reflecting the true values of themselves and as they see themselves. It is a privilege to be Italian, to have a culture. We love our culture. We love our food. Matter of fact, I cooked today and I'm about to cook tonight after this show. Do I get upset because I see Papa Giuseppe's pizza? I didn't get offended because one of my friends out there does pizza with his grandson and puts a big mustache with a apron around himself. I don't go say, Mike, you're offending me. Come on, grow up. Grow up. Have a sense of humor. Removing things from stores that they call Cocoa Pops and White Loaf. And how small and how much of a victim mind do these people have? It's the handout crowd. It's the I'm owed crowd. You see, privilege is afforded to everyone if you're willing to work for it. this country is a great country. This country is good to those that are good to it. I have many great Greek friends, Italian, Lebanese. I've met many Christian, Muslim. I have straight friends. I have gay friends. I have all kinds of friends out there. And one thing they all have in common, they all appreciate and value what this country is. You see, too many indulge in this culture of no responsibility. Too many indulge in the culture of I'm offended. Too many indulge in the color of I hide behind my mask because I don't have, and I hide behind a crowd because I'm a coward really one-on-one. Too many hide behind the marchers and the protesters. And of course, now they've been encouraged with the Chinese virus to wear masks so they can hide their criminality and their attitude. Let me tell you what's not privilege. You're not privileged to be lazy. It's not a privilege to have a handout mentality. It's not a privilege to cry more when you don't and are not faithful with what you have been given. Let me tell you what that is. It's called a leech. Privilege is afforded to all of those that are willing to work for it. I know many great Aboriginal, Samoan, Torres Strait Islanders, Maori, Fijian, Italian, Greek, Lebanese football players. I could name them. I also know some others, I affectionately call them skippies, my Australian friends. It's a term of affection. It's a term of endearment. Laugh. Laugh. Maybe get that pole out of your backbone and get that victim mentality out of your life. And maybe privileges will come to you. Privileges come to people that give others privilege. Not demanding, not screaming, not fighting. You're never going to get successful on demand, and you're never going to get respect by demand. You earn it, just like you earn a living. You earn a home. You see, I really believe that we've been blessed. And when you don't get your way, or at least the way you think life should be done, learn to be patient, learn to be respectful, learn to have dignity, learn to have poise, learn to have posture. I learned these things. I certainly didn't grow up with them. My background was anything but poise, posture, and graceful. But I worked harder. I studied more. I read more. I changed more. Yes, I failed more. But I learned to get back more. I learned to give back more. And I learned to pick myself up and not expect any man to be my provider. I'm here to encourage you. Celebrate the privileges you have. As I close, can I give you 6 things that'll help you become a person that gets privileged? Number 1, work. Number 2, give opportunities to other people. Number 3, have some dignity about yourself. Number 4, learn to be a giver, not a complainer. Number 5, learn to be faithful in the little things that you have, and you'll get more. And here's a big one. Number 6, love your country. Support the country you live in, or go live in a country that you support. It's quite simple, really. No one makes you stay here. No one's forcing you. This is a great country. And it's a country that represents all creeds, all colors, all religions, all faith, and all people. Be grateful. It'll get you a lot further in life. This is Pat Mesiti. You have a fantastic weekend. Hey, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Reborn. Make sure you're on there. We're going to be having a fantastic 30 minutes. Christine is going to be singing, and Sister's going to be singing. I have a very special message. I know that generally we put up a link there, and but we'll get that link up on Facebook. And Reborn is going to be fantastic. If you enjoyed this message, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Be grateful, and remember, privileges come to those who create privileges for other people. God bless you.